Hello to the channel, welcome back everyone. I hope you're all doing very well, enjoying the midweek. I was really close to really enjoying my midweek, and then Celtic conceded in the 90th minute, although some of the teams who are playing today forgot how to play football, so I'll cover that off again in a bit. But the main focus of this video for the weekend is obviously special for East Asia, K-League, J-League, special. It's a cash competition. So what I'm going to do is discuss that first, have a look at the different teams, the different data, players, spend a bit of time on that. I won't have time to do a separate video for the weekend, so what we'll do then is at the end, tag on sort of 10 minutes, have a look at Celtic, the weekend generally speaking as well. Anyway, let's have a quick look at what's on offer firstly, and then we can start going through things. There are some predictions up on Predictorify as well, which are for the K-League, which we'll come back to in a wee minute too. So limited wise is $1,000 for first, and the 500 places paid. Now bear in mind this is just K-League and J-League games, so you know that's actually not too bad. I think there'll be a lot of entries in. Do you need 5 limited? Yeah, you need 5 limited cards, 4 minimum in season. Misread that there. For you need 5 in season limited cards. Rare again, you need 4 in season cards. I guess there'll be a lot of auctions out tomorrow. $1,200 for first, 150 paid. Seems pretty good. Super rare. So a kind of contentious point today. There'll be some instant buy super rares available tomorrow, so the pricing of those will be quite interesting. $1,600 for first, $50 down to top 15. Now it doesn't seem that good, but bear in mind obviously this is a contender competition. The normal contender competition's open this weekend still with plenty of cash. You can play in this, you can avoid Celtic, etc. So that all seems pretty good. So let's have a look at the preview. Now firstly, this is the spreadsheet from Miguel at Sorare Probabilities. We'll come back to the general preview and chat through that later on. And we've got, hang on, we've got no data. I'll need to update the data. We do have data, it's just that I hadn't pressed the right buttons. Now with this there's no specific data on the K-League stuff, but I've done some sort of digging on that. I don't have the XG stuff and everything, but we'll have a chat about the fixtures, how I feel about those under separate cover shortly. So Kawasaki Frontale playing against Kyoto Sanga, 1.69 XG, 38% clean sheet percentage. I was kind of referring to it earlier, like, I mean, midweek, the Japanese teams, like a lot of the big teams just forgot how football was played. I mean, none of the big goalkeepers kept clean sheets. Like, it was just didn't go according to plan. Like, this is going to be such a fun special because, you know, if you run the SPFL special, you know that, you know, you're going to need some Celtic guys. That's pretty predictable. With this, I think, like, honestly, anything could happen. Marino's playing against Belmar, 1.66 XG, 31% clean sheet percentage. Antlers against Tokyo. Antlers scored a few today, but again didn't keep a clean sheet, which is a shame for people who hold a Hayakawa because he's one of the guys who's been in really good form. Again, Vissel Kobe seem to be hit or miss. They do really well at times. They do have a standout clean sheet percentage in Japan, at 53%. Again, very low XG. So you look at this and you look like towards like what we normally see on the channel for PSV and Celtic, and you know, even you know, some of the games Hajduk Split or whatever, like the stats are more overwhelming this. So what this is telling me already is that it's going to be quite close. Somebody could come out with a 3 or a 4-0 win or whatever, and that might decide it. But yeah, you've got to predict that as well, right? Albirex Nagata against Shireko. So Albirex 1.29 XG, 35% clean sheet percentage. Urawa 43% clean sheet percentage. So them and Antlers are kind of second there. Nothing that high in terms of XG, in all honesty. What we'll do is we'll have a quick look at the K-League games. Then we'll come back, see if we can pick out any players who the stats really think will have a good weekend. I'll let you know who I'm sort of keen on myself. Have a look at the gallery, who I've picked up, why I've picked them up, what I'm doing. Bit of an explanation in terms of guidance on who to actually pick. So that was a spreadsheet from Sorare Probabilities. We'll come back to that. Now on Predictorify, again this is a paid service, but I've got permission from the site to share these predictions because this is a special. There's no J-League information. That's because the J-League games were on today, so the predictions are not up yet, but I'd rather get this video up so that people are fully prepared. Last thing you want to be doing is Friday morning going in and instant buying limited cards and stuff just for the special, so try and get in a wee bit in advance if at all possible. So Ulsan against Jeonbuk. Ulsan, probably the best team in the league. I find them quite frustrating myself. I did have Ulsan guys last season and they do rotate quite a lot. First thing is, Jo Yin Woo has been out with a sort of broken nose. He's back in training. At the moment, 60% for Jung to start, but I've got a sneaking that Jo will be back in. There was a chance he might have been back for the weekend. I think they've held him back so that he can start, and I just don't think they can do without him. They've not started well. Kang Sang-woo's been really good, as has Kim Young-won. Those are highlighted in sort of gold there because they're players that I own. Darren Bojanic is a real sort of enigma type guy. He's in and out of the team when he comes in, seems to score really well. So again, it might be one that if you can pick up at a reasonable price, could be decent. Wong, struggling about with the names already. I'm Wong Sang Yim, again very good. Ludvigsson's only 30%. Again, he's a guy who can score pretty well too. I think with this one, Jeonbuk seemed to be a bit better. I think that Ulsan probably beat them, and it could be a reasonable shout for a clean sheet, but you've got to call which goalkeeper starts, etc. For Jeonbuk, Songbung Bum Kyun. So I'm not good at these pronunciations. I do apologise. I've only been on the Coke Zero as well. So he moved back to the K-League. He was pretty good there before, but Jeonbuk are just not really as good a team as we were in the past. Guys stand out here. You'll see I've got Lee Sung-woo. Compagno's done very well actually, scoring quite a few goals. So they'll want to look out for. Song Min Kyo as well, capable of putting in some really high scores as well. Gwangju against Anyang. Anyang are a team that was promoted. I don't have many players from Gwangju. I do have a Reese. Asani scored at the weekend. I don't think there's anything really standing out too much from their point of view. I do like Gabriel Tegral. He's been injured. I think he'll be back at some point soon. I think he's a good player. Very underrated in terms of price just now in Sorare. Anyang I don't really know much about. Jun Yoon Kim, I think he used to play for Busan, so he's probably kicking about in some collections. Lee Tae-hee, I think used to play for Diageo, so I don't really know much about them. I think that'd be a close one to call. Could be a sort of score draw or something. Pohang and Diageo are teams I know a bit more about, so it's easier to sort of cover off. So we'll start with Pohang because they're at home. Started really poorly, really been pretty unreliable. So a couple of interesting things here. I think Wanderson Carvalho's actually got a defender card. I don't know how he managed to get that. So if he is playing as a sort of right midfielder or whatever, that's pretty interesting. Oberdan seems pretty good. He's quite consistent, but just not getting a lot of decisives. But the good thing is, if he does get that decisive, he usually puts in a bit of AA, so he could be in your 80s and your 90s. Lee Ho Jae is an interesting one. He was a forward card last year. He scored 2 goals already this season, but he's actually a mid card now. But he's a goal scoring mid. Now, he doesn't really have any AA, but he's a guy who gets goals. So, again, could be one that you would want to look out for. Diageo, I think, are my favourite team. And what's happening here? Alright. I was looking up front there, I couldn't see Cezinha. So, what's going on here? Where's my voice going? Diageo are my favourite team, I think, in the K-League. I mean, Cezinha, like this, just a quick story. When I came on Sorare, they just launched the K-League like the week later. I went in and looked at the options and there was people paying like 500 quid for this guy called Cezinha, and I was like, the Euro cards and stuff like that are only like 200 quid, and like, what is going on? But I mean, he was always a really good scorer and that always intrigued me, and he's been great. I've had him in terms of like getting a card. I got a rare, which was quite expensive, and then I traded for a super rare early on and stuff, so I've always used them quite a lot. what can I say about Diageo? They've started really well. Really have started properly well. Um, Kyle Marcelo's pretty solid, puts in some big scores. He's kind of a wee bit hit or miss, but he can do the big scores. I don't know if away at Pohang's really the place for that. I mean, Pohang haven't started well, but I think they'll probably score against Diageo. Wang Won Jie is really pretty good defensively. Again, depends how this game shapes up, right? You know, if Diageo don't have as much of the ball, Cezinha's excellent at home, as is Lamas as well, you know. Cezinha is just Cezinha. Like, if you don't know Cezinha at this point, like, if you can afford him and he's not like too expensive, just buy a Cezinha, right? That's the advice for me. Just buy one. He's involved in everything. He's not taking pens at the moment. Then looks like those have been passed on to Lamas, but he's taking all the sets, etc. He gets goals, gets assists, and him and Lamas could be a good pair actually, because with Lamas on pens, you know, you can get that's a nice game where you get a couple of decisives. So that's them. We've got Diajin against Suwon. I do really like the Diajin goalkeeper, Lee Chang-gun. His stats were really good last season. Also, Jumin Q has moved there from Ulsan, so I know him from last season. Victor Bobson's an interesting one. I'm not really suggesting you should buy him for this, but he does have a defender card, so if he's playing a bit of midfield, that could be one to keep an eye on for. I think they should have a good chance of beating Suwon at home. Suwon not been great so far. I don't know many of the players at Suwon, but Yunbit Graham's a guy who's been around for ages. So he was originally at like Ulsan's, a lot of his old classic Ulsan cards around. Always been a sort of set piece taker type guy. I think there's Lee Yong. I don't own Lee Yong, but I think he's nearly as old as me, and he scores pretty well. So again, he's one maybe to look out for. We'll have a look at see if we can get some predicted sort of stats up for different players for this competition as well. Gangwon against Jeju. Jeju have started pretty well. Gangwon kind of hit and miss team. I mean, the goalkeeper Lee Guang Yun, he kind of chucked one in a bit against Diageo, if I'm honest. Tucci in defence thinks one I've kind of looked at, you know, worth keeping an eye on. Lee Jai Ho up front is pretty interesting. He started really well, but it's like, you know, can he kind of keep playing well like that? I don't know much of the other guys there, but we'll try to use the data to see if we can pick out anybody. Jeju, interesting one. So Nam Tae-hee, pretty good player. I think he used to play with Marinos. He's actually in the Marinos shirt there. Italo is an interesting one. I think he's a bit of a hit or miss one, but I think he's quite capable. I don't really know most of the other guys. So have a chat about Seoul and the army team, and then we'll see if we can try and pick out anything that might help based on selections across all games. We'll have a quick look at the J-League ones as well, and obviously I'll see if there's anybody that springs to mind. So obviously, you know, people will know Jesse Lingard. Cho Young-wook could be a good differential because he's a guy who can put in those kind of explosive 60s, etc. Ki Sung-young, ex-Celtic, so yeah, of course I've got him. He scores pretty well, to be fair. Choi Jun as well, you know, as I said, I've got one because so yeah, they're playing the army team. The army team's got a lot of talent. So interesting. Kim Joo-sung is definitely one I'd recommend. I mean, he's a guy who scores very well, and I've actually bought his rare. I did have a look at Super Rare, which went a bit expensive. For the army team, they get a lot of good players at the moment, but Lee Dong-jiun, who was at Ulsan last season, everything kind of goes through him. So he's a guy a lot of people will be picking up. So are kind of hit or miss, so they could get a result there. Real interesting one. They're all quite hard games to actually predict. So we'll do a whistle stop of the J-League, and then we'll see if we can try and pick out any sort of names based on the data, etc. So we'll probably go through this for an hour, 10 minutes, make sure it's a nice proper preview, and have a look at who I've bought, what I'm sort of planning to do with the teams. Then we'll have a chat about the other teams for this weekend as well. If you want to fast forward me at this point, that's fine. I don't know. People have done worse. If you do like it, please like and subscribe, etc. Or if you sign up to Predictor 5, please use the code McBrideAce. So, Yokohama against Shonan Bellmare. Again, Yokohama was kind of struggling to score today. Anderson Lopez, a guy I picked up in Limited, I mean, he's like, I think he was top scorer in J-League last season. Jan Mateus is excellent as well. Marino's an interesting one. Like, they are pretty good at times defensively. I think Sandy Walsh has went there as well, although he's not really hit many good scores as yet. Belmar, I think are kind of middle of the table type team. Nobody really stands out from their point of view that I don't think I bought anyone from them. Kashima Antlers, pretty good. The goalkeeper's excellent. Thing with Kashima, and the reason I've not picked up more is they're always going in bundles. So you're having to like buy 4 or 5 or whatever at the same time. But Leo Chiara there's good. Yuma Suzuki's good. I think Koiki's moved there as well. He's got a defender card, but he's been playing a bit of right midfield. Hayakawa, the goalkeeper. So yeah, pretty interesting team. They think they won today, but didn't keep a clean sheet, and people would have been banking on a clean sheet because Hayakawa has been like really good. Tokyo, pretty interesting. Goalkeeper wise, Nozawa, he's pretty young. So he'll be a real popular one. Puts in some really good scores. Tokyo are generally quite busy, to be honest. They're not an amazing team defensively, but he puts up some good scores. The young Brazilian, you've got Marcelo Ryan. Like he's pretty good as well. I don't know if there's really much out with that I would really fancy. Away the Antlers, difficult fixture as well. I guess you could go with Nozawa and hope that they keep it tight and he gets loads of action. So it could be potential for a big score, but he could concede a couple as well. Kawasaki Frontale against Kyoto Sanga. Kyoto Sanga wise, I think it's the team that Rafael Elias went to, so I picked him up. We'll come back and have a look through the gallery after we've done the stats. I don't think they've got much out with that I would highlight myself. Kawasaki Frontale obviously are the name that a lot of people probably know in Japan. Used to be really good, like Hatate, Eo Tanaka, his team that Matoma used to play for as well. So I think it's Yamada who plays up front. He's pretty good. Goalkeeper's changed a bit now. Takai, the defender's good. They've got good midfielders, guys like Wakazika, who are capable of the big score. Again, it's a tough one to call. It's really like, there's no real overwhelming fixtures, Vissel Kobe against Avispa. Nobody really would pick out Avispa wise. Vissel Kobe, obviously, Mayakawa. The wee bit of a blow Sakai been out. I mean, he's probably their best scorer. AA wise and everything defensively. Yoshinori Muto was out today as well. Still got lots of good players. Ogahara, Osako up front. They've got lots of good players still, but a bit of a shaky start to the season. So a lot of people have been picking out sort of Vissel stacks of I don't know. I'll be on the day. Albirex and Shireko. Shirezo Azaka. Shireko, just making names up now. I picked up Lucas Fernandez from them, I think. He was pretty high up in terms of assists in the league last season. Not as quick a start. Was on the bench today, but that's probably just rotation. So I'd hope he comes back in. I don't think there's anybody else really standing out there. Fagiano and Espulse, again, nobody really standing out majorly there for me, or not anybody I've bought anyway. So that's going to be a tough one to call. But again, some of these games, if one of these teams wins 2 or 3-0 or something, like you could find some of these guys up at the top of the leaderboard. It's very unpredictable to see midweek. Nagoya against Makida Zelvia. Nagoya, I've got Mateus back. He'd went away, I think, to Saudi Arabia or Qatar or something. I can't remember where it was, but he was really good in the J League before. So he's been quite a popular one. Makida's one I've been building up, and we'll show you that just in a wee minute. But Kosai Tane's, probably one of the top 3 goalkeepers in Asia. My sort of top 3 would be Jo Yin Woo, probably the Gamba goalkeeper at Chimori, and Kosai Tane, although Gamba have started pretty badly. Makita have got, I think it's got some pretty good players. I mean, they brought in Kikuchi, which if you're on Sorare, you kind of know who Kikuchi is. If you were in there recently, he used to score very well, was an all-action type guy. I think he's injured at the moment. Okamura moved. So he was playing at Sapporo last season, scored very well, but just got hammered all the time for goals conceded and stuff because they weren't very good. He didn't score very well today. Again, Shoji, who scored well today. Drezovic actually be a popular one because put in a nice big score. Soma, I think, is probably on the sets, so he could be an outsider in terms of attacking. Nagoya do tend to leak goals, so you can see Makida getting 1 or 2 But obviously you want a clean sheet, right, if you're going for like Kosai Tane, etc. Tokyo Verde against Gamba. I don't really know much about Tokyo Verde. I think Tokyo Verde just come up. Got a pretty good result today, so that will buoy them. Gamba, Saka, Ichimori goalkeepers get pretty good stats. Again, a lot of goalkeepers are hit and miss in Japan in K-League, so that's why Joey and Wu and stuff can be quite popular because they're just a bit more reliable, I would say. Usami for Gamba Saka, gets a bit of AA as a forward. It's definitely one to look out for. San Frecce, as Mark Patrick Rare usually refers to them as, they'll be a pretty popular one as a defensive stack. Keizuki, Osako, Araki, Sho Sasaki, they're really they're capable of putting up a bit of AA together. Again, they're not as reliable as like a Celtic or whatever, but definitely capable of doing that. Up front, I've got Rio German. A bit gutted that Mitsuta's not playing. I thought he was excellent. I don't know what's happening there. Maybe he's just going to end up going. I think that people will mainly be looking at the more defensive side for Sanfrecce. Then we've got Urawa against Reysol. I can't remember. I think Savio's moved to Urawa now, so I know Savio's a guy who a lot of people have been sort of steaming into. Nobody else really standing out there for me. So, Urawa at home. Sanfrecce, I think a lot will be quite popular from a defensive stack point of view. Antler's quite capable of taking some goals, and I'm kind of going for Makida. But that's just where I've sort of went into with my own sort of collections and all that sort of stuff. So let's give this a go, see if we can highlight any players in the East Asia All-Star. Again, back to the spreadsheet from Egal. Let's see if this can work some magic and see what the projected scores are like. And here we go, abracadabra. So first thing to point out is there's nothing that's overwhelming. If you win this competition, you will have earned it. You will have earned it. You'll see we've got some start percentages here, so that's nice and helpful. Said Predictify is not up yet, but just because the games were this morning, so those will be up tomorrow. Usami had mentioned, so that's quite reassuring. 63 projected score. Junosuke Suzuki is not a name that's really one I know that well, but his defender card's pretty interesting. Hayakawa, mentioned earlier, goalkeeper wise. Segakawa, really interesting. I call him the Japanese slabhead. You have a look at him and you'll see why. Daiji Sasaki at Vissel, interesting. Yuma Suzuki we mentioned. I never mentioned that actually Fuller is defender for Vissel, so yeah, he's one that you could pair with Mayakawa. Jan Mateus definitely would recommend. I mean, he's projected 58, and I think he's the type of guy who could do an 80 or a 90 really in the right weekends, quite explosive. Let's have a wee look down and then I'll give you my own thoughts on who I would really sort of pick out from a perspective of the K-League, especially all the J-League sort of information for players. Okamura, I say I bought. I will have a look in the gallery, as I said. Shinta Tanaka I bought in Super Rare as well, pretty solid. Doesn't put in a lot of peak scores, but quite reliable, which can work at Super Rare level. If he gets a goal or assist, could be very good. He used to play as a defender, so midfield's pretty good, and you'll see that's why he's getting a defender midfield here on the sheet. Anderson Lopez, yeah, he was top scorer last season. Lucas Fernandez, Wakazika. So yeah, I mean, there's all much of a muchness here in terms of there's nobody that's really with looks like an overwhelming fixture per se, but a lot of good names on there. So what we'll do is we'll have a look in a minute at what I've actually sort of started building. In terms of names for the K-League, etc. Just looking at pronunciations here. Lee Dong-gyung, I would say, for the army team, everything's he's quite a popular player in games, but I think it's quite a tough fixture for them away at Seoul, so maybe not so good. Lamas and Cezinha I mentioned earlier. I mean, Lamas is on pens, Cezinha's on free kicks. Diageo are away at Pohang, but Pohang have started pretty poorly, if I'm honest. If you're going sort of Pohang angle, thinking maybe Diageo will have a bit of rough form at some point. Oberdan, Lee Ho Jae, definitely. Ulsan are at home. I'm finding them really hard to predict at the moment. I mean, you want to take a gamble on Joe Yin-woo, then that could really sort of pay off, because I think he's best goalkeeper in Asia. You pair him with Kim Young-won, Kang Sang-woo. You could take a risk on Bojanic, but I mean, I just, like, after last season, I'm just like scarred with that guy, honestly. And Ulsan don't have a lot up top with how Ju Min Kyo's left, so I think they're probably more one for a sort of defensive stack, if I'm honest. Compagno's got cards, I think, so he should be pretty decent at John Book, but again, very tough fixture, and this is a one-off weekend type thing, so yeah. For Diajin there at home, I like the Diajin goalkeeper, Lee Chang-gung. I think he was really good last season, and he'd be a good one to keep across the summer. So if you're going to pick up a goalkeeper or whatever, definitely worth considering him. Ju Min Kyu is a forward, so doesn't really get any AA, but he's definitely capable of scoring. And I don't have any other notes over and above that, so that can be the end of my absolutely disgraceful ravaging of the pronunciations. The highlight of that was San Frecce, which is how, as I said, Mark Patrick Rea pronounces it. So there we go. So I'm reverting the sheet. We'll have a look at what I've picked up myself and what I'm kind of maybe planning to do, because people do like me to have a look at the team selections, and then we'll have a look at the normal weekend preview, Celtic, etc. as well. From a Celtic point of view, as I said, Celtic have done me really well this game week so far, but still not over yet. Celtic conceded at the end, and I kind of had written this off a bit because there was so many J-League games this morning, but that was my real reference earlier in terms of saying, look, a lot of the J-League teams just forgot how to play football. Like, they're just one of those game weeks which I kind of needed, having put those sort of scores on the boards. But 500 Super Rare is not huge, it's beatable, but everybody was actually pretty poor. So what have I done with the gallery? Firstly, limited wise, I've picked up like pretty much all of Makida. The reason for that is I want a Kosai Tani. I really like him. He's just signed there. He's always been sort of playing. He's doing very well last season. And from the point of view of like under 23 usage over the summer, it's handy to have one. So I've went for the full collection. People will probably not be following me in now because they could be 1-0 today, but I think they'll be decent defensively. Okamura, Genshoji, Kikuchi, Drezovic, they've got lots of decent defenders. Lee Ho Jae, I mentioned earlier, playing up front, mid-card, doesn't really get any AA, but 69 quid, not too bad. It'll be interesting to see what this overall story is with the instant buy prices for Super Rare. You'll see a lot of these guys are like collection pieces pretty much for Makida. Sunmin Q, I mean, $8.50 3 days ago, like, that's just ridiculous, honestly. Like, he's much better than an £8.50 there. Try to skip past the guys that are not really relevant for this. I picked up Gustav Ludvigsson. I'll definitely consider playing him. Got Lee Ho Jae's 1 out of 100, which someone resold. Got Okamura there as well. So a lot of these guys are all part of the Makida collection, but I want to show you some of the individual cards I've got, because when I'm putting together like a sort of stack, I don't like going for a full stack in Japan. I know it makes it harder to predict, but yeah, I mean, if you want to just go for a Vissel Kobe stack, then fair, but a lot of people will be doing that, or a San Frecce stack, a lot of people will be doing that. You need to get the max bonus. Gabriel Tigral, I mentioned earlier, definitely want to have a look at, pretty cheap at the moment. So I picked up Shinta Tanaka. You see he averages 57, pretty good. Picked up the Diageo goalkeeper, always pretty good for the cup competitions, if I'm honest. He does a few 80s and 90s here and there. Oberdan, I mentioned. Anderson Lopez. I think he was top scorer, so averaging 56, kind of understandable. Lucas Fernandez I got for 11 quid. Forgot to mention Fukumori, I can't believe it. Got past Yokohama and never mentioned the GOAT, Akito Fukumori. Why is he the GOAT? Well, it wasn't today, he was rotten today, but he's a defender and he takes sets. So, in the right game, he's well capable of doing the high score. Jan Mateus picked up Unlimited. Rafael Elias was only 5 quid. He'll probably a bit more now, look at these scores now. But if you look back at his scores, he was capable of doing those. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be 5 quid anymore. Probably not now. I've actually give him a bit of a shout out. Bruno Lamas, again, on sets, quite an expensive price to pay, 60 quid for Diageo Rare, but a lot cheaper than Cezinha. He will be more reliant on the penalties, so there we go. Kim Joo-sung, look at his average, 62. Still under 23 until the summer, so if you've got that angle, you want to pick up a rare or a limited or whatever, then that's pretty affordable. Then I'm into my Nashville stuff. Shunta Tanaka picked up Yuki Soma. Wanderson, see defender card, averaging 60, so I find that pretty interesting. I like those guys who have like defender card playing out of position. Lee Sung-woo is a really pretty good player. Plays midfield, I think, rather than sort of up front, but it's kind of like that sort of cam position. So, yeah, 40 quid, good one to see me through the summer. And then that's me kind of out of the sort of general sort of buys. So, what's my plans for the weekend? I'll need you up at some point, so that's half an hour, so we finish up with a preview. But if you're bearing with me, then thank you again. I'm going to have to back some sort of like Kosai Tani, like clean sheet or whatever. I've went in with Makeda, so I'm going to have to go with that. I do think I'll be using my sort of cards like Joe Yin Woo, etc. So I'll show you like what I mean in Super Rare. Like from a Super Rare perspective, like you need to use at least 3. So I don't think I can really go in without him, if that makes sense. So I say I'm not going to go through the selections, but just give you a kind of general idea. I say if you want to take a risk on Joe Yin Woo, then it could pay off. We have got a Mayakawa as well. So I bought the in-season Joe Yin Woo, and obviously it would make a lot of sense to stack him with Kang Sang Woo. Too many woos. Woohoo! I guess I do have Shunta Tanaka, and I've got OJ. So Gabriel's injured. So I guess I could, if I really felt like I didn't want to take a gamble and just ruin the team, I could play Mayakawa in there. And then, from my point of view, I'll definitely be using Cezinha. It's a tough game against Pohang. I think they'll come good at some point, but they've been a wee bit leaky. So, interesting. So I'll see what I do there. A lot of cash on offer. That's from a super rare point of view. See, for a rare point of view, etc., I'll have more choice. I'm not really going to do the team selections just now. I want to give it a lot of thought. But yeah, if you haven't got the money to go ahead and buy the full collection, get to 5%, you probably want to piece together a team. Pick a goalkeeper and defender you think will do well, and then put a couple of pieces together so that you're not running a team that 15 other people will have with higher bonuses, etc. That would be my recommendation. You've seen all the names earlier, guys there, Lucas Fernandez, etc., who take sets. Any of those can sort of pop off in a given weekend. So, do your worst and good luck. Anyways, back on to the normal preview. That's enough name pronunciations for one video. I do apologise. I hope I have not offended anybody. So for the weekend, Rangers against Motherwell. Rangers are at home. Really good fixture. Motherwell have been really hit or miss. Rangers on turmoil though. Sacked the manager. Barry Ferguson in. People calling him Ned Lasso. That is banter essentially. 2.78 XG, 56% clean sheet percentage. Celtic St Mirren. Tough one for Celtic, I think. St Mirren beat Rangers 2-0 recently at St Paisley. I'll come back to Celtic prediction to round off the video. Monterrey against Santos Laguna. Please Canales fans. Always annoys me a bit in Contender. I needed him last night and he was rotten, but that probably helped Celtic. So in terms of the ones I had already picked out. Santos Laguna do have some in-season cards as well, but a tough game at Monterrey. Sporting Lisbon against Estoril. Obviously people will relying on their sort of Gyökeres and Trincao, etc. 2.55 XG is pretty good. 55% clean sheet percentage, really good as well. Look at Universitario clean sheet percentage, 72%. I've never seen that before. 72%? Who are they playing against, honestly? They don't have any in-season cards, so I'm not going to dwell on that. Fenerbahce, interesting. They're playing against the Rangers at some point soon as well. So we've got Jose Mourinho against Ned Lasso. Barry Ferguson. Woofed! Fenerbahce, 2.5 XG. I'll definitely be using my Skriniar, I think. Definitely. Tadic kind of let me down a wee bit recently, but there we go. Atalanta against Venezia, 2.48 XG, 57% clean sheet percentage. Pretty good team. Hit the rocks a wee bit recently out of Champions League, they'll be looking to recover. With Spartak Moscow back, we've got Russia's back, so from a contender point of view, yeah, that's mainly going to fit Classic. You will have a few dotted about there. Barco, if you've got Barco, then you want to get him into like some of the in-season teams if you can, as that last Classic slot, or just run him in Classic. Monaco against Stade Reims, pretty good fixture. Barcelona against Sociedad. There's a harder one that looks on paper. I think Sociedad are pretty decent, pretty good at the back. So I say that probably 8-0 Barcelona. Paris Saint-Germain against Lille. Paris Saint-Germain really good recently. They look pretty good under Luis Enrique. I mean, he's a bit of a maniac with the rotations, but like you've got some talent, honestly. Cavaradona, Dembele, Bradley Barcola, Vitinha, João Neves. They've got Zaire Emery to come back. Hakimi's incredible, like taking sets, putting in big scores. Let's not mention the goalkeepers, eh? And otherwise we'll get to that. Dick Safanov, Besiktas, Galatasaray. Got some Chinese games back, so we'll get Chengdu Ron Ching, who says it was the end of the bad pronunciation. So Romulo there, Felipe Silva, love a big man. So always does pretty well for me. Feyenoord against NEC, that'll be quite tricky. I think NEC are pretty decent. PSV against Go Ahead Eagles. Interestingly, PSV a lot further down the sheet than I expected, but 33% clean sheet percentage makes sense because Go Ahead are pretty good. They've got a lot of good young players assigned from Scandinavia and their data stacks up really well, so that doesn't surprise me. But PSV do have like Buscaglia back, I think, now, so it'll be interesting. USG really impressed me recently. Dender are not very good and they've got a lot of good players. USG Promise David. I can't remember his name. Young Croatian guy up front. That's terrible, sorry. But they have got lots of good young talent. And obviously a very well-run club, like with association with Tony Bloom. Data-driven model. Excellent. So, yeah, have a look around some USG players. That would be a decent recommendation, I would say. And then we've got Krasnodar, etc. there as well. We'll have a wee scoot down because obviously there's a lot of games on and we're only at 2xg. So there's still a lot of decent fixtures to discuss. Bayern Munich and Stuttgart, that'll be a belter. We have Real Madrid against Betis. That'll be an interesting one. You'd have to fancy Betis will probably get some goals there. Never know. I mean, Courtois could come up with one of his masterclasses. Don't know what we'll do with my stack for that one. And I don't think there's anything else really standing out. So we'll do the Celtic prediction and then we'll wrap it up. So yeah, this is one of the few predictions up for the SPFL and Predictor 5, but the other teams are all playing tonight, so that makes perfect sense. Rangers are away at Kilmarnock. So let's not talk about them. I don't want to laugh too much. Kasper Schmeichel, really good this season. I feel a wee bit unlucky to concede, I think, last night. I mean, Aberdeen posed some threat. The one at the end, guys hit it. It's just went in a very narrow bit of the front post. Could argue that Kasper Schmeichel shouldn't be getting beat the front post, but Celtic were 5-0 up and it was a slack goal to concede, I feel. But there we go. Celtic have only conceded 3 goals all season at home and all 3 were against Aberdeen. So people are not used to us conceding at home, but there we go. Jeffrey Schlupp I've got in. Jeffrey Schlupp is a better player than Greg Taylor. There, I've said it. Greg Taylor I think is going to go. His wife was in labour. Schlupp played very well. I was impressed with him last night. He was really good against Bayern Munich. He's not the best footballer in the world, but he's got that athleticism that sometimes Celtic lack. Trusty and Carter Vickers have just got in at 95%. Celtic's fixtures ease a bit soon. I might change Trusty a wee bit because there might be a possibility that maybe Scales plays for a bit of more of a physical presence. But my issue with St Mirren is they've got big strong guys up front, and personally I don't think Trusty's a great selection for this game. If you're going to use a defender, I would go like Carter Vickers, honestly. Because he can handle that physical presence. He's a dual machine. Just a better player than Trusty, but I don't think I'm saying anything too controversial there. Carter Vickers been at Celtic for years, been terrific. Alistair Johnson, pretty poor at the moment. He's not been putting in the big scores. I thought he played pretty poorly. He's shown signs of a bit of tiredness or bad form. He got the assist at the end though, so he did a 75, but that kind of got him out of jail, right? He was only on like a 48 or something, 45. So, interesting one. This will be a tough game against St Mirren. Like, their tails will be up, they're at home. McGregor, Engels and Hatate. Again, I think we'll go pretty strong this game. And then I've got Maeda, Jota and Kuhn. I don't know how, you just can't leave Maeda out at the moment. The guy is incredible. Honestly, he's incredible. He's played the season. Who would have thought that? Because Nicholas Kuhn was brilliant at the start of the season. Even Yang's coming on playing well at the moment. I mean, Celtic are just buzzing from an attacking point of view. I think he'll sit this one out. I think the Jota and Nicholas Kuhn makes sense for this. My reasoning for that is Jota's not played a full game yet, but I think he's building up. And Jota, Maeda and Kuhn together is just a scary prospect for anybody. I've got Ida and the Reckoning in there. I don't know why I've got Ida at 70 plus 15%. That would make him 85%. I'll need to delete that out. Apologies. Because I've got 115% there. Me and my standards, I'll get that updated as soon as we finish the video. But yeah, it could be Maeda in the left and Ida through the middle. But I'd be a wee bit surprised about that if I'm honest. Though he is nursing Jota a wee bit. But I think Brendan Rodgers wants to keep winning, get League One ASAP. I've put out a strong team here. I don't think there'll be much messing about here. Smyrna away is a tough game. They just beat Rangers. They're a kind of top 6 team. And yeah, less rotation would be music to my own ears in terms of being the predictor. So, yeah, midweek, Celtic may well have served me well. We'll see. There's still games to go tonight, so I'm not counting any chickens or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this would have been like insurmountable if Celtic hadn't conceded at the end. Like, that's the honest answer. But it's beatable, but also if I get a result of this, I'll be absolutely delighted. As I said, managed to pick out the 100 from Engels, though not the captain. Clean sheet going really was a bit of a killer because, the second team, 2 defenders in there. Johnson saved it a bit with the late assist, so maybe a wee bit lucky. But yeah, from a Celtic point of view, I don't think it really is luck this season. Celtic have been incredible. Played very well against Bayern Munich. They're just a really good team. Good for SO5 and long may it continue. So that's a good way to wrap up the video. It's been nearly 45 minutes this time. A couple of mentions. Firstly, if you get to this point, thanks very much for watching. It is much appreciated. We're approaching 2,000 subscribers to the channel. Channel does not make any money. Being 100% transparent here. There is money that comes back from YouTube, but in terms of expenses, doing thumbnails, paying for stuff, it doesn't make any money. So I'm purely doing this to try and help people, to help grow the game a bit, and to showcase what Sorare's all about. In terms of Predictor.fi, that is a paid service. I think it's good value for money, to be honest. That's what I use personally. Obviously I would, because I'm one of the predictors. If you're going to sign up there, use the code McBrideAce. Then we've got the spreadsheet from Miguel at Sorare Probabilities. There's no special deal or anything here, but if you message Miguel or you message me and you want to get a free trial, then basically he will sign you up for a free trial, give you the prices. If you want to use it, fine. If you don't want to use it, then I think you made a mistake. Like, it's one of the best resources I've seen. Obviously a lot of people use Sorare data and I completely understand that. It does some of the same stuff, but picks out, for example, your own players. So look at this. Like, I can click on this for this game week. It's pulled down all my own players. If I want to say, all right, I want to see who my best guys in contender are. Bang, there we go. It's got all projected scores, last 15s, winning clean sheet percentages. We're even adding in information on PK, free kick takers, all that type of stuff. Just a brilliant resource, which I think's really enhanced what I do with my selections and how I look at sort of players, etc. as well. So there we go. That's the overall recap. We'll need to end now in customary fashion. I haven't even looked at the MLS for this weekend. Just not even really got time for that at the moment. But I'm sure that's going to be pretty fun for the streaks. If you've got a Messi, then brilliant. So many guys started well. Jonathan Bamba, Pasalic started really well. Dreyer started really well. Just a really fun league. And I think what Sorare have done with a lot of stuff has been great. So there we go. We'll end now in customary fashion. If you're playing this midweek, and you see this, good luck. If you're playing this weekend, you're playing the K-League and the J-League special. Look forward to waking up on Saturday and Sunday morning, those 5 AM games, to absolute carnage. I hope you're on the right end of the carnage. Good luck and go for it.